Hey guys, and welcome back. This is the 5th episode on my Dragon series. I am pleased to bring you guys today the chaotically evil Black Dragon. So let's jump right into it. Here we go. Hey guys, and welcome back. This week's miniature is the young Black Dragon. This is the last dragon of the chromatic dragon series that I'm doing. Now this dragon is chaotically evil, and it's one of the most evil beings in all of D&D. Very sadistic, very nasty. So I'm just kind of looking at this model right now. I don't like how this right wing looks. So what we're going to do is we're going to put it into some boiling hot water and then run some cold water on it. And as you can see here, that wing looks a lot better now. So let's get started. We're going to do a base coat of Necromancer coat here. Now this color isn't all the way black. It's kind of got some gray tints in it. I didn't want to just go matte black here because this color has a good way of showing shadows. So I'm going to need probably about 2 or 3 coats once again. So that's what I'm doing here. Just a nice even-toned base coat. So here's what we got after about 3 coats of that Necromancer cloak. So now we're going to go in with uniform gray, and we're going to start with some dry brushing. Now I'm going to focus on the wings here, the arms of the wings, and also the legs and the scaly parts here on the back. Now when I get to that, I'm going to go against the grain, as they say, and all I want to do here is just hit the high points of the model. Now, black dragons have faint clues of gray and silver in them, so that's all we're trying to emulate here from the monster manual. Okay, just moving right along, using ash gray now, that's a little bit lighter of a color on the spectrum, and I'm going to go in with another dry brush. Now, this one I'm being more selective on. You don't want to overpower this, but you do want to still highlight this. This dragon is not fully black. So we're going to go through and just pick out the highest points here on the wings, the arms, and on those scales here. Now, at first this will look kind of weird, but we are going to go in with some washes, and that's going to tone everything down here. So this kind of looks like an ashy gray dragon right now, but I promise it's going to look good. Going in with green skin now, and I'm going to do a dry brush on the membranes of the wings. Now, if you look in the monster manual of black dragons, they have like a greenish tint on their wings. Now, I wanted my wings to be a little bit more violent in color after this because I didn't really like how this color looked. I thought it was taking away. So we're going to go in with a lighter color here, and it's called Acrylic Flesh. And I'm going to do another dry brush here. And as you can see, this green is a lot more violent in color. And it's got that dead type evil look to it about it. And I thought it complemented the colors very well. So I was really liking it. Now we are going to go in with washes and dull this down. So I went a little overboard. I also dry brushed some of that Acrylic Flesh on the fins here. And here's that wash dark tone. Now this is Army Painter's black wash, And I'm going to do a heavy coat of this all over the model. And I still want this model to be very dark in nature. So I'm also going to hit the membranes of the wings here, and you see the magic happen. This black wash just brings out all those highlights and also seeps into the recesses, and it just makes it look just more organic. So while that's drying, we're going to go in with some desert yellow here, and we're going to start in on the underside of the dragon and do the scales, or the belly, whatever you want to call it, of the dragon. Now, black dragons have like a gold, deserty type look on their underbellies. It's like a golden brown almost. So that's what we're going to do here. Okay, so once that wash is dry, we're going to go back and highlight the membranes of the wings here with more necrotic flesh. Now, I'm not doing a total dry brush here. I'm just picking out some of the areas, like the very central parts of the membranes. Next up is Pixie Pink. We're going to go in and do a messy base coat in the mouth here. Now, it doesn't really matter if you get this paint everywhere. You can go back and touch it up. This dragon's mouth is kind of weird. Just the way the tongue comes out, it almost has like a snake-like tongue. And it's just very narrow and awkward to paint. So just do the best you can. Okay, time for my favorite color, skeleton bone. We're going to go in and touch up those teeth. And I feel like this color just really makes the model just come alive here. It's a very accurate color of how teeth and bony like projections look. I love this color. Gonna go in and hit it now with the horns, and man, that just makes it just pop out. I love it. So here's the horns done. We're gonna give the dragon a nice manicure here. I'm getting good at these manicures for these dragons. Now let's go on the underside of the dragon. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be focusing on the edges of the scales here. I'm going to cover probably about 80% of each scale, but I still want that desert yellow to come through here. This is just a pretty aggressive highlight, but once this is all done, it just makes the model just pop right out. All right, now for some ink, we're gonna go in with Verde Green. Now, black dragons have these green stripes on their legs and on the arms of the wings, so we're gonna go in and do that. So I'm just taking like a detail brush here and putting a little bit of that ink on there and just going across these like with a stripe-like pattern. Okay, up for another wash, strong tone. This is a very dark wash, not as dark as the dark tone, but I like this color on horns or bony type projections. It makes it look very organic. We're almost done. So I had the thought of doing this base like a swamp. That's where black dragons live. So we got to prime it. We're going to go in with some brush on primer. And I'm just going to do a very, very ugly coat of this. It doesn't have to be perfect. I just want to prime this. Like I said, it's not going to be perfect here. But as long as we get that primer on there, it should have the paint stick. So there's the primer done. All right, we're going to start with oak brown. And I'm just going to hit the rocks of the base here. Now the other gray part where the base is, that's going to be like the wetland green swampy area. And we're also going to put some flock and stuff on here just to make it look real good. So I'm just spreading out that brown color. Going in with army green now. And we're just going to go and hit the rest of it where the water, swamp, marshlands would be. Now I wanted this swamp to look like like you're gonna get infected with something if you get in this water. It's supposed to look very nasty and gross. Okay, now with a darker color, angel green. And the idea here was I wanted some color variation, so I'm gonna use a technique called wet blending. So what that means is I just stipple in that darker green and I don't completely cover the lighter green here. And I don't wait for it to dry, so all the colors just kind of mix. Next up, military shader. Now I'm going to go in and hit the rocks of this to almost make it look like algae is growing on these rocks. This is a swamp, so it's going to look nasty. So I'm also going to go in and hit the water here with some military shader just to give it that shadows and also the algae type appearance here. Okay, now time to add some vegetation. Now I believe this stuff is called just moss, and I got it from the local hobby shop in the forward section. So I'm just going to randomly put some super glue down and just stick these on there. And I'm also going to do some other type of moss that I've had left over from my previous builds. So more super glue, and I'm just going to randomly place those. There's no like pattern that I'm doing here. I just want it to look random in nature. And here's our swampy base. All right, let's look at the final product. Alright guys, well, that's the end of the Chromatic Dragon series. Now, for future videos, I might be painting some, maybe even the metallic dragons. We'll see. We'll see what the future holds. But you guys know the drill in the meantime. Like, share, and subscribe for more content. Thanks guys, you guys have an amazing week.